Hey, it's me, Big P. Want to do a quick update video of the progress of the Perforate Gladiator. Starting day 2, kind of, sort of, did a little bit more progress. I'm in Act 10, about to kill Katava. Just want to go over the gear and just how the process has been, as well as some first impressions of the league, which I generally think is pretty good. We're going to go check on a shipment that just came back. But don't expect much because I'm still in the axe. As you can see, we did get a lucky belt of the Deceiver, which is nice to have on attack builds. But we'll quickly be outclassed, not to mention that taking increased attack damage I don't think scales bleed, and we are certainly scaling the bleed now. I'll tell you right now, Perforate, if you're going to go into bleed and start trying to scale that exclusively, you're going to have a hard time if you don't know the physical damage weapon recipe. Let's go over that super quick. You know, Rustic Sash, a base type weapon. That's why I've been holding on to some of these, and you basically, I'll just do this one just to show as a demonstration, even though it's probably not going to be as good. So you vendor a base type that you want. I really should be going for one, you know, and I am going to save that for 1x, but you see when you put this and the whetstone and a magic or a rare Rustic Sash, you get a physical damage, and that's actually how I rolled this one. I rolled this, and then you craft attack speed on it, and that is how I have a over 300 DPS axe with you can basically craft yourself. That's going to be pretty important, especially if, as you can see on the tree, we did go for the bleed stuff kind of early. I will say it's not necessary. You know, an attack build, just generally speaking, even early on, the melee changes feel really good. The damage effectiveness that's found on the gems, I do go into Perforate of Bloodshed, I think, a bit early. I bought the gem kind of like when I was like Act 5 or 6, something like that. Just because I want to see how it felt, because this difference of spreads between the blood and sand styles, I wanted to see how this was. Now, as you can see, there's like a lot of randomness to where this goes. Now that I do have the bleed pops as my second ascendancy, let's go. I did this ascendancy first and this one second. I'll talk about that real quick. The coverage is pretty good, but it remains to be seen with when it's in maps. We have you know, all our buffs up and things like that. We aren't using any block right now. We did go for more of the damage stuff now. The last two will be the good block stuff that we're going for, so hopefully that'll round out the build, because it's not been great. As you can see, new melee is very clunky, and really I probably wouldn't recommend this. I'd recommend something more generic, like either lightning strike or something like that, or just a slam with a bit more coverage than jumping into Bloodshed early. You probably would just keep the regular Perforate if you really want to force it, because you can level with it from Act 1, but it's, you know, kind of mediocre. And then as far as, you know, other bleed skills, I know Ziz is doing like Spectral Shield Throw, which is probably feeling better for bleed right now. Just run a quick Blood Aqueduct, because I think it's still, yeah, it's still good XP for me. Like I said, we're just getting into finishing up the campaign, and then once we're in maps, we'll really take a look and see how it's going. But, like, you know, there's just, without the block mechanic working right now, I will say it's kind of tricky to you know, tank all these shots. Luckily, I do, you know, have a lot of the life nodes. I did get finding some of these new higher life rolls, or just generally higher life totals on the gear. I'll upload this POB, but obviously this is super scuffed gear. And of course, you know, let's turn the acceleration shred off, because that's a, it's going to make the build look way better than it actually is. So you do get attack speed and frenzy charges from Blood Rage, which I would recommend, because leech can be an issue. And one of the big issues that we've been dealing with that isn't properly dealt with yet, I don't think, is going to be mana leech, especially when we get to those higher attacks. Sometimes I feel like I'm leeching a lot of mana and it can self-sustain, and sometimes it's just like, it doesn't feel like it's working at all. Here we have, you know, a bigger chaos, or a bigger rare. You can see, because generally speaking, the bleed pops, with the two-handed physical weapon, it does feel nice. You clear everything, even like these magic monsters, like here. And now that we're scaling the physical damage, the explosion itself is scaling. But you can kind of see what I mean in terms of, you know, stuff can run away from us, and then our attack comes out a little slow. There's a bit of a delay for all the damage. I got two rares on top of each other. There you go. Okay, but one popped the other. Pretty nice. So I do think once we get the block setup going, and some of the stuff that comes with that, especially the lucky block, it'll feel a lot better. I do not know what that item is. I've never seen that. We'll ID that and go check the stuff after. But yeah, leap slamming around. doing an attack. You know, no totems anymore. Haven't tried, again, because we haven't had block set up. That means our Eviscerate, like, 4-link isn't set up yet. And it remains to be seen whether or not we're going to do that at all. I also don't have that special aura set up to get Pride. I am... Damn it. Alright, well, there you go. Let's go to the shipment. So, and obviously stuff like Corrupted Blood. Damage over time, even once we do get block all set up, is still going to be an issue for this build. We are going for this Biz.multi over here now, rushing this. We're actually going to take this as well, just because I feel like that's going to be just scaling physical damage kind of nice. We're going to drop out of this later. I am saving some points here. I was in this Mana Mastery, but I didn't realize that you can get the Mana Reservation Efficiency from skills from this one, which we are certainly taking. Making your attack skills cost life. Means that you can activate the 40% increased physical damage with skills that cost life mastery there with your main hand without having life tap and links. But honestly, even with the bit of mana and leech, I might go fully into Spirit Void just to like be done with it, because we are saving the points here. I say saving, but you know, we still have to go for deflection and dirty techniques. So it's not like that many points saved. It's like 2, maybe 3 points saved. Not really. Tree's gonna be tight as is, but either way. Progression, I just went into the bleed stuff kind of early. I'm using Swift Affliction and Link, so my bleedings aren't being aggravated. It's really just the bloodletting that I think is gonna aggravate, if at all. Really only active on bosses and stuff. Again, this is all feeling kind of middling right now. The pieces haven't come together. For example, the Gladiator ascendancy feels like I've only gone for the 2 like aggressive ones, and the defensive options haven't really been pushed yet, but that's coming. I do like that we have attack speed on the small nodes here. I was afraid that like losing challenger charges and shit like that. All right, let's get out of here. I forgot the goblin bullshit. Losing challenger charges I thought would be really like, you know, you'd really feel it. If you are gonna force anything on Gladiator in a softcore setting, I would take this first. Do not listen to any content creator that is telling you, it's not gonna matter because you just kill everything so fast. Cool, you do it with your billion damage build. I'm fucking struggling here through the axe. Take this shit. This will help you get through the bosses, you know, a little bit better. And then I did decide to go for this. I thought I wouldn't go for this until I was mapping, but I'm using a 2-hander. So this would literally do nothing. At least this would do something. Kind of helps you get a little bit more experience. Clear some maps a bit bigger here and there. Interesting stuff. And let's see. Ship has returned with a natural hierarchy and some cash. I mean, we take those, you know. I would recommend the league mechanic. Feels kind of cool right now, but I can imagine that people who aren't dipping a little bit into it during the axe and completely ignoring it might have a bit of a time. See, like, because there are some things you're going to want to set up here. Bah! And yeah, I'm not going to go too much into that. I don't want the video to be long. I'm going to stream today now that I'm in maps. Basically, I'm just clearing up my passive skills and things like that. I did end up helping Alira, and I am running Purity of Elements right now, because those are kind of the pain points of the build. We don't have any gear that's really defining the build right now. Perforate of Bloodshed, Chance to Bleed, Melee Fizz, and Swift Affliction just to get the bleeds out a little faster. Not sure if duration scaling, cutting your duration like this is good. Going Deadly Ailments would cut your leech. Not that I'm really leeching that much. It really depends to be like what are we gonna do with this stuff? I've Leap Slam, Life Tap, faster attacks, Corrupting Fever. I don't know if that actually works with the. Does that actually increase the damage? No, I don't think so. It just makes it cost more life, so maybe don't do that. And I do have Herald of Purity linked with Maim. We are going to try and do that Eternal Blessing, whatever blessing, to get Pride on the build, because we want to run Malevolence. I don't know how we're going to get Elemental Ailment Avoidance. Maybe we'll just get removal for the ones that are really bad, and maybe get Freeze Avoidance on Brine King, but I kind of do feel like taking reduced damage over time might be way better. Just because that's what Gladiator really struggles with. Just any ignites, you know, that would be the soul of the other guy I haven't killed yet and stuff like that. But yeah, again, I'm not feeling super hot on the build overall right now. The melee changes do feel good, and I feel like I'm kind of like in the kiddie pool forcing Perforate, but you know, as someone who has completed an Atlas and done a actual Glad League starter when it was bad, with Perforate when it was bad, I guess it didn't feel bad at the time, and I didn't really know how to scale it properly. It still worked. So I think, you know, if you do give it the tender love and care that you do need to give a build, especially an attack build. If you're scaling weapons, you know, if you're having trouble struggling through the axe, update your weapons. It's very important. That's sort of stuff that's like, oh yeah, let's ID what the hell this is. Fury Valve? Wasn't this thing? Oh, there's like 15, 16 chaos. Interesting. Okay, so shouts to Fury Valve. Let me know how you're liking the league so far, what you started, how it's feeling. We're going to be streaming pretty much all day today and a lot of tomorrow as well. Hopefully we'll be deep into the whatchamacallit, the Atlas and progressing and all that fun stuff. Have some more gear rounded out and some stuff to shoot for, but right now, you know, do that rustic sash recipe with your weapons if you're forcing fizz. Otherwise, just, you know, get the flat damage on the regular Perforate gem. That sand stance does have good coverage. You don't need to get that bleed pops. But it's like, that's what you're going for anyway. There's not really a lot of generic damage that we're scaling that's not specific to bleed, and only physical damage can scale or bleed. So it does feel a little bit weird if you're not going to be focusing on the physical damage of a weapon. And, you know, while this is perfectly fine and serviceable, the ceiling for what a weapon can do goes up, especially once you have a one-handed weapon, so you're dealing with lower just base damage on it. But you'll open up the shield slot, which can get us both attack speed and a bunch of much-needed resistances, life, and most importantly, block. So by this time tomorrow, we will have some sort of block set up. Hopefully the Uber lab done, but it's not necessary to have the block happening. So thank you for watching. Take it easy, and I'll see you in the next one.